Have you ever heard someone say, I bought this home before it ever hit the market? Sounds like it's some type of secret VIP real estate club, right? But here's the real question. Are private listings actually a good thing for buyers, or can they work against you? Today, I'm going to explain what a private listing is and whether or not it's right for you as a home buyer, so you can make a smart, informed decision if you ever have the opportunity to buy one. So what exactly is a private listing? That's the question, right? And we've talked about this before, but a private listing is one of those listings that never gets to the MLS. It's sometimes called a pocket listing, where certain realtor at a certain company may have a listing and they seller may want them to market it to certain type of to buyers, and then you may have the opportunity to get in on this. So it's marketed quietly. It sounds exciting. It does. And it sounds like it's something that could be a real advantage for a home buyer to get early access to something like that. But today I'm going to discuss the pros and cons so you can make the best decision possible. What are the pros of a private listing for buyers? Well, first and foremost, there's less competition, right? I think that one's self-explanatory. So if it's not out on the MLS, not everyone gets the opportunity to see it. So what that means for you as a buyer, there may not be a bidding war. It may not be one of those situations where you have to waive every single contingency and put in an escalation clause or go X amount of thousands of dollars over asking to get it. Sometimes when people have a private listing, they have a specific number in mind. And if that number works for you and you're willing to pay it, it gives you the opportunity to buy the house before it hits the open market. It also gives you, as a buyer, opportunities to access, exclusive listings. All right. It could include luxury homes, investment properties, or unique situations where people want to sell their house, but they don't necessarily want everyone walking through their home or disturbing tenants, or quite frankly, just the hassles that come along with listing a home. This can help you get ahead of the curve if you have access to one of these as a home buyer. Look, everybody likes that first dibs advantage, right? You know, you're a home buyer, maybe you're an investor and you're working with a realtor and you're looking for the perfect investment opportunity. And that realtor says to you, hey, I know of this property. It's about to hit the market, but we might be able to get in there first. And if we can make a deal, you don't have to compete with everybody else once it hits the open market. Now, does that sound like it could be attractive for an investor? Absolutely. Absolutely. So private listings, without question, can give buyers an edge. However, let's not forget the flip side. What are the cons of a private listing for a home buyer? Well, first and foremost, they're harder to find, right? I think that's obvious. Unless you're working with a realtor who has strong connections, and sometimes even if you are working with a realtor who has strong connections, you're not going to have access to these private listings the way you would an open listing that's out on the MLS. So while those deals might be attractive, if you're waiting to find one, it might take a lot longer, which in the long run could actually cost you money. If you only want to buy private listings as a home buyer, it's limiting your selection. There's no doubt about that. The vast majority of people out there, listing the house on the MLS is always the way to go if you're looking to maximize profits from selling your home. So, the people who go the private listing route, it's nowhere near the majority of home sellers. So it will have a limited selection if that's something that you're looking for specifically. Here's an interesting part. The pricing might not favor you. Right? So if someone has a private listing and they say, hey, my house, here's what we need for the house, you kind of have to agree to pay that price or you don't get it. Well, sometimes if that house came on the market, like, I don't know, have you ever seen a price reduction when a house sits there too long? Without a doubt, right? So if you're interested in buying a private listing home, the pricing might not be in your favor. Make sure that you do your due diligence looking at comps and whether or not it's a deal that works for you. And look, there is some, transparency issues that come along with a private listing as well. Days on the market when I'm working with a buyer is one of the number one things we look at when working together. So if someone has a private listing, you never get the public notice for how long that thing's actually been on the market. Someone might say to you, hey, I've got this listing. It's off the MLS. I just got access to it. And the reality is they've been trying to market it for the last 9 months. And the reason that they haven't gotten any buyers is because it's priced way too high. Is the information that you're getting always 100% true? Hopefully, I would like to think it is. Would I bet $1 million that everything that you're hearing is transparent and true? Probably not. I mean, that's just the reality of it. What does that mean for home buyers? Is a private listing good for a home buyer to buy? And the answer is, it depends. And I know that's kind of like a cop-out, but it really does depend. If you're working with a well-connected agent who has access to a ton of listings, and if you're tired of being outbid in competitive markets, buying an off-market property can be really attractive. But if you want the maximum choice, full market exposure, and the ability to compare options side by side, private listings might not be the way to go for you. So, what is the key takeaway for home buyers? If you're looking to buy a home, I don't think there's anything wrong with buying a house that's listed on the MLS. And I don't think there's anything wrong with buying a private listing. I think the key is don't put all of your eggs in the private listing basket, okay? If the right opportunity comes up and it makes sense for you, jump on it. It could be an outstanding deal, but I definitely wouldn't limit yourself by only looking for private listings because you might have something perfect on the MLS that you never go to see, and it could lead to a lot of regret in the future. Thanks for joining us for today's episode, everybody. If you want to hear more content, follow us at Real Estate Right Now Pod on YouTube. Once you're there, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And if you want to follow me directly, check me out. It's Dave Wychak at Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, all the socials that you're already using.